Hello everyone, welcome back to the Benchwarmers Podcast. As usual, I'm John, my co-host, Josh Sykes.
It's good to be here, Gab.
Josh, you've turned 18 now. I think I want to be the first one to say a happy birthday.
You're not the first one, but thank you.
All right, no worries. It were a couple of days ago, so I'd be worried if no one had said it. But this week we are also joined by Penistone Church FC manager Ian Richards. Ian, how are you?
Yeah, I'm good, thank you.
Good. And soon enough we'll be joined by his brother Duncan, who's also the assistant manager at Penistone Church FC. He's going to join us in about maybe 10 minutes' time. But yeah, Ian, I mean, yourself, you've got a quality career behind you. Obviously, played for Blackburn when they were Premier League champions, as you just told us off camera. 24 Football League appearances for Halifax. Are you using that experience, taking that into Penistone Church?
Yeah, 100%. Not only the positives out of it and the good times, but also the not negatives, but the harder times, and also managers. You learn as much from previous managers and what they did well, but more of what they didn't do so well. And you think, I don't want to be that type of manager. So you learn from both sides of it as well.
Mm. Yeah. How was your time at Blackburn then?
It was excellent. I was very fortunate as a 14, 15-year-old to have a lot of interest by clubs who wanted to sign me. And then you weren't restricted. So it was an sort of open field who you signed for. And I had sort of 7, 8 football clubs I could have signed for. And I'd always been at Barnsley growing up, because that was my hometown, and Blackburn were sort of an ambitious under Jack Walker's money. Kenny Dalglish was the manager, and just the way they treated me as a young player and made it really clear that they wanted to sign me. Had brand new training facilities. You trained alongside the first team when, for example, Alan Shearer was there, and it was an opportunity I couldn't turn down. And it started really well, and then sort of halfway through my second year, I got a bad knee injury, and it just I never recovered fully from that. But the experiences have set me up for life in football, but also outside of football. So, yeah, I look back on it fondly. It wasn't the outcome that I wanted, but it set me up to continue playing football, stay in football as a manager, but also in my other role and in education, it's really helped in that as well.
Yeah. When we've recently spoken, well, not recently, but we spoke to Josh Staunton, who plays for Yeovil Town right now in the past. And he said that when he was in the youth academy, you had to get your coaching badges. Was it the same for you?
Yeah, you had to do your level 1 coaching badge, which was really good. It just gave you that bit of experience in coaching, and I like that idea. Then when I went to university, I did my level 2 coaching badge. In management then, now, the coaching badges help, but it's the experience that you have, the way you sort of instruct and give information to your players, the way you motivate players, the way you treat them in the change room, on the pitch, off the pitch is just as important as how good it is to do a coaching session. I think there's a difference. People don't see the difference between a coach and a manager is very different, because you're dealing with the emotions of the players as well, and handling players who all want to play, but only 11 players can start. So you've got a lot of things to juggle and deal with. Whereas a coach is about putting on a session, trying to develop some aspect of the game within that. So I like both sides of it, but the management side is very distinct from the coaching side.
Yeah. So what actual qualifications do you have? And obviously you said you'd done your level 2. Have you done more than that, or are you still on your level 2?
Yeah, no, I did a sport exercise science degree. So I got a first class honours in sport exercise science degree. I obviously did my PGC in PE for teacher training. I haven't done UEFA B because it doesn't fit in currently with me teaching. It doesn't fit in with management. It's either weekends in the season or it's in term time, which I can't miss. I've then obviously done coaching qualifications around it, but in terms of formal FA coaching, I've done level 1 and level 2, which at the moment is, I don't feel I need any more to develop. I want to go manage higher, but at the moment it's more about being involved with managing Penistone Church.
Yeah. Josh, what level are you calling out? Because Josh is doing his coaching badges.
I've got level 1.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Obviously, like you said before, how it gets in the way with like school and things like that. What's it actually like dealing with, well, from a vice principal, is it?
Yes.
Yeah. What's it like dealing with that while also managing the players? Do you take skills from your teaching to your management?
Yeah, 100% transferable. Because you, as a school, as a vice principal, so I support the head teacher, the principal, to lead the school. So it's about developing a culture, the values at the school, leading people, managing people, dealing with behaviours, getting the best out of people, deal with staff and students, parents. And it's same in football, just dealing with young adults or older adults. We're trying to develop a culture, values, leadership of them, manage them, motivate them, support them. So yeah, you transfer it across. It's the way you do that's slightly different. You can be a little bit more assertive as a football manager, just because of the nature of football. But yeah, both of them feed into each other.
Yeah. Is it difficult to manage, as in to balance, obviously being a vice principal and being a football manager? Is it difficult to balance? Do you ever get any family time, any spare time?
Yeah, 100%. I've got 2 young boys, 4, and one's just turned 4, one's coming up to 2. My wife is very understanding, but she sees this I see football as my social side as well. I do it with obviously my brother, but also part of my management team are good friends. So I see it as the social. But it's running 2 full-time jobs alongside each other. So a lot of my evenings are taken up by football. I try and keep Saturday mornings, protect that from football. So that's family time. And Sundays, most of Sundays, family time. But the rest of the time, it's working around the clock. The fortunate thing with being a teacher, you do get the holidays. So I try and make sure we go, well, before COVID, try and go away and make sure I safeguard that, and that's for my family.
Yeah. Obviously, you've got these management skills. You're doing it with Penistone in a good league. You played at quite a high level. Have your school got a school team?
Yeah, I did have. I don't have just because of time, I don't have a school team. I used to enjoy taking the school teams.
Were you the manager of it?
Of a school team?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I used to take it. And I used to take, when I was just a PE teacher, I used to take football, cricket, basketball, athletics. It was brilliant. The teams were the best bit, taking students to competitions, taking them to different places, doing well in the national competitions were brilliant. Just with the role of my job now, my involvement in PE is more in lessons. So I teach A-level PE and teach like practical PE. I just don't have time to do a team as well.
Yeah. So what's the actual training schedule like at Penistone then? So is it every day, evenings, a couple of times a week? Yeah,
we try and focus on quality over quantity. So I call it contact. So if we have a midweek game, we tend not to train. So in the season, we'll play Saturday. If we have a Tuesday or Wednesday night game, we won't train as well. So it'll just be games. But when we don't have a midweek game, we'll train once a week, hour and a half to 2 hours. We've got a floodlit Astro, the football club, so it's really quality facility. And we really have intense, high-quality training sessions. During pre-season, we'll have 3 contacts a week. So I tend to try to leave weekends free for the lads, do Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and there'll be an hour and a half to 2 hour sessions. So pre-season is really intense, and through the season, it's focusing on games. I just feel that they've all got a lot of them got young families, they've got other commitments, they've got full-time jobs. I'd rather be quality training sessions than bring them in for the sake of it. Because it's a big commitment, and they give up a lot of the time for the season. So I want to make sure what they're doing, they enjoy doing it.
Obviously, as a manager, I'm guessing that you set up the training sessions. Or does Duncan cover that bit?
Yeah, I tend to do that. Duncan does the first part, the warm-up, and the first bit of a ball exercise, and then I'll do something I want us to focus on, linked to maybe a game we've just played, a game we're going to play, or an area of where we like to play to develop. So it's very structured, has a clear purpose. I enjoy that aspect of it. That's where my teaching skills come in, as well as coaching skills. I get a big enjoyment out of the coaching side, because it's also, we make it enjoyment, it's a positive atmosphere. And before the COVID stuff, a few of us used to stay after for a drink, so like I say, that's your social side as well. So I enjoy training sessions.
So what kind of jobs do the lads have then? Obviously, is it like your classic Sunday league, they're all tradesmen, or do you have like loads of different types of...
To be fair, we've got some in education. So we've got, like I say, a maths teacher in Ringy. We've got Tom Charles was training to be a PE teacher. We've got Nicky Guest, who we've just signed. He's a primary school teacher. Obviously, I'm in teaching. We've got people who sell IT. We've got somebody who works for the NHS. We've got people who went to university. We have got the odd tradesmen. We've got builders. We've got construction. So we have got a range. It's funny, we're talking to them in our final training session. Are you going to be impacted by this second lockdown? And a lot of them there's two who were working from home. One of them was a personal trainer at a gym, so he's had to stop. But everybody else was continuing as normal. So it's interesting that it's interesting that we've got lockdown, but majority of them are still working, but just can't play football, which is unfortunate.
Yeah.
We've been joined now by Duncan. Duncan, can you hear us?
I can. Hello, gentlemen. How are you?
Good, thank you.
How are you?
See?
Sorry, cough. I didn't hear that.
Yeah.
You keeping well?
Yes,
yeah, we are.
Yeah. What about you?
Very well, thank you. Yeah. Just got back from children, the life and the glamour of a PE teacher, eh?
Yeah, you kind of the odd out here. We're all sat here in suits. You're in your tracksuit.
Nothing changes. Never be caught dead in a suit.
I mean, now we've got both the brothers then, I think we'll just jump into some of the brotherly questions. First of all, me and Josh talked about this before you two came on. How does it actually work with like both of you as in the coaching side of things, but being brothers? Do you ever have arguments over the actual game?
Do you want to answer that, Dunk, or do you want me? Go on, you start off, Dunk.
I'm going to say, I don't think we've ever had an argument. I think what tends to be our beliefs and what we think about football are very, very, very similar. We obviously before we were managers, we played for I think it was 4 or 5 seasons as well. It's up at Stocksbridge, so our views and our beliefs on football are very, very similar. In terms of the day-to-day stuff, Ian kind of takes the lead on it. Ian does all the preparation, all the research, all the information gathering about the teams we're playing against, their players, talks to various managers he knows, and then I'm just there to support on the day, really, helping with the warm-up, maybe talking to individual players, giving a bit of input before half-time and after the game. But Ian kind of takes the lead and I do the more hands-on stuff with the warm-up. At training, Ian tends to decide or look at the team we'll play against on the Saturday, and training on a Wednesday is geared around who we're playing against, what their style of play is, who their danger men are, how they like to play. And we kind of train on Wednesday through Ian and what he wants to look at and how we're going to really combat how they play, the team we're playing against.
Yeah. So, do you actually have a scout then that goes out and looks at all the different teams, or do you two just do it between yourselves?
Yeah. Like Duncan just said there, we our dynamic working together is really good, and like the balance is good, and we don't argue, but we'll challenge each other's thinking. Maybe that was substitution, maybe that style, but we're very, very supportive, and we've never fallen out over a decision. The only time we fall out is if we're frustrated with the players in the way they're playing, but then we're very sort of bounce off each other. And one of us might take a more assertive line with the players, one of us might take a more arm round the player to pick them up, but we balance off each other, which is quite good. In terms of scout, no, I try and get out as much as I can to watch games. Luckily with technology, I can get on social media, I can look at videos. I know a lot of people in the game, so I can do that. So for example, we played AFC Liverpool in the Vars game. They were playing up at Golka in Huddersfield on the Tuesday. So me, Brett Lovell, our centre half, and Pete Goldshaw, one of our management team, went to watch it, and it did help on the Saturday, and we won 3-0. So it does pay off doing that. But we don't have a scout. We do have somebody who does video and data analysis of our games. He's based in the UAE. He's a teacher out there in history, and because he's based out there on his own, he picks up we video every single one of our games, and I'll ask him to break it down into different components, and then he does some data on it, and then I'll use that, like Dunk says, to inform training, or just to give a line, just a positive line, or an area that the reason why we're working on it. So we try and do it as professional as we can, but we're in terms of everyone's got full-time jobs, everybody's got young families, but I enjoy going out to watch games. So if I can get that opportunity and I get a pass from the wife to go out, I'll go out and watch a game.
Yeah.
Along with the scouting sort of thing then, how do Penistone actually bring players in? Do you have trials, or is it just through personal connections?
Bit of both, really. We're not big on trials. we'll go for the odd recommendation. We'll have a look at a player. So if a player's been released by a professional club, we might have a look at them. Or we're very good at getting players who maybe have fallen out with the game a little bit or been treated not as well as they'd liked at a previous club, or just want to get back enjoying the football. And because of the environment we've created, and when I say we, not just me and Dunk, but a lot of people involved, we can usually get them playing at the best what we can. So, for example, really happy with the squad. And then we got ex-Barnsley Football Club, young goalkeeper Jake Greatorex, who got in touch with us. Yeah. He helped us out on loan in the FA Cup against Harrogate Town. Loved this day with us, enjoyed how we set up, enjoyed the training session in preparation. Got released, fell out with the game, lockdown came, got a job, just got in touch saying, can I come down train? I want to get back into it. So it was too good an opportunity not, and he signed. And then we were sort of settled. And then Stockbridge Park Steel's captain and one of their attacking players just got in touch with me saying they needed a fresh start. They weren't enjoying it as much as they like. Would we be interested? So when that comes along, I know them because I've seen them play, and because the level they're at, you can't say no. But then we'll monitor players that we play against, and we'll make a note of those players. And if they come available, we'll look at them. So there's a method to what we do, really. What we're built on, we've got a real core group of players who are Penistone lads or we've known for years, and they sort of bring the culture to the change room and bring what we want on the football pitch. So they're really important to what we do.
I was just we've got in the change, got big characters, like we said, Brett Lovell, you've got Danny Howes, our captain, who've been there, even Andy Ring, who's been there from a very early age, early stage with us, and they create such a good atmosphere that if any player does come along for a pre-season, just turns up or gets in touch with Ian, they play or they come to a few training sessions, they don't tend to want to leave because of, like Ian just said, the culture, the change room we've kind of designed, developed over the years. It tends to keep people there, and people, word of mouth, people who play with, like Tom Charlesworth, he's a good friend who just signed from Stockbridge, and they'll talk to each other, and Tom will give a great recommendation of what the change room's like, and people want to come and join us. So that's kind of how we do it. Like Ian said, we don't tend to have trials. We just tend to open pre-season up to anybody who wants to come down or gets in touch with us, and then it's up to them. If they like it, they stay. If they do well, they stay. But 9 times out of 10, they love the culture, love the atmosphere, love the club, and they tend to stay.
Yeah. And just on that, sorry, just to finish on that, also, very rarely does a player leave us on bad terms. And it was before Dunk came on, we use it, it's like I said, we use experiences when we were players of managers, and we take as much of how the managers we thought mistreated players, and we try and leave with any player on good terms. And we'll try and be open and as honest as we can with them, why they're not in the team, and if they need help, they want to go elsewhere, then we'll support them in that. We had 2 lads who we sort of sent on loan to Haversley Rec, Jack Shepherd and Chris Snaith. Got some games and then wanted to come back to us in pre-season and fight for the position, and they're both in the first team squad. So we try and leave, if any player leaves us, leave on the best terms possible.
Yeah. So on to what Duncan, you said you've got quite a lot of characters in the dressing room. What's it like having so many different types of characters in the dressing room? Does it create a bit of unrest, or does it just all click?
It's like babysitting.
What Ian's done at the club is he's, like you said, got a core group of players who he trusts, who he knows through the years. Obviously, like we mentioned before, Brett Lovell played with him at Stockbridge, Andy Ring played with him up at Stockbridge, Danny Howes, Ash Ellis, have all been there for a long time, for a good, I'm going to say Danny Howes is probably 10, 12 years. Ash Ellis is probably 8 years. So we've got characters in there, but because of Ian and the culture he developed, we don't suffer fools, if that makes sense. We don't, if anybody's a negative impact on the squad or on the change room, then they don't tend to last long, because the lads kind of see through them and they don't kind of buy into our culture, and they end up moving on. But like Ian says, we don't ever really have that. I can't think off the top of my head anybody who has left on bad terms, if ever, anybody who's not enjoyed it. The main reasons people leave are for game time, and we've got such a good squad this year that it's inevitable that some players will leave. But yeah, it is babysitting at times, especially when you've got 37-year-old Brett Lovell clowning about during a team. It's not ideal. It builds that culture, that togetherness.
Yeah, and it completely agree with Duncan there, but it's also we want to enjoy it. We give up a lot of time. We give up our Saturdays, midweeks, everything. We want to enjoy it, so we want people who we want to spend that time with. And Duncan can be, if you like, more. He's part of their WhatsApp group because as assistant manager, that's what he's there for. I have to stay back because I have to make those more difficult decisions and tell people when they're not in. But I want characters who will accept it and prove me wrong by reacting well in training or when they come off the bench. So you do have characters, but we want, as long as they know where the line is, I want Brett to make jokes and bring everyone out. I want Danny Howells to be that one driving us on. We want lads in there who bring something extra to the change room, because I think as well, your team spirit and your culture can bring you 10, 15 points a season. And we haven't got the financial, we talked about Liversidge off air, we haven't got the financial incentive that Liversidge have, so we have to bring it from other avenues, and one of them is creating a team spirit that people want to join.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I was just wondering, because you mentioned before, I'm going to complete the message name up here, but Jake Greatorex, no idea how to pronounce it.
Greatorex.
With him coming from a local side like Barnsley, who are obviously a big level than Penistone right now, no disrespect, but yeah.
No.
Is it easier with those clubs, say they release players, do you instantly see who they've released and maybe ask them if they want to come down for training or anything?
Yeah, I take advantage of the Bobby Hassel, who's the academy manager there. His son came to Penistone Grammar School. Martin Devaney's children are currently, who's under 23s manager, currently at Penistone Grammar School. I teach one of them. We know Tom Harben, who's the under 18 academy manager. So we just say, look, anybody of interest, they let us know. We look whether they're going to fit in. Obviously, players when they release want to play as high as they can, but Jake just turned down clubs hired to come and get back enjoying his football. So he's just done a really good piece in the Barnsley Chronicle in that he wants to go and play as high as he can. And if we have him for 6 months, we have him for 6 months, but it works out well. We get a really good goalkeeper for 6 months. He gets back enjoying his football and he goes and plays higher. Then we'll go and turn to Chris Snaith, who's a local lad, a Penistone lad through and through, and then he'll be as goalkeeper. So, we'll not sign players for the sake of it, but if he's a good player that comes available and we can afford him, then we'll go have a look.
Yeah. So, Duncan, what qualification do you have when it comes to football? And obviously, how does then your role in education help you to be the assistant manager?
Well, I don't actually have FA preliminary coaching certificate, which I did when I was a YTS at Barnsley. But other than that, I've never gone on and done my UEFA B, UEFA A, anything like that. Because I must admit, before Ian rang me and said we've been offered the Penistone job, I was not considering really going into coaching. Obviously, working in a school, taking school teams, as you well know, the MFG we had a really strong team, which I know Gabriel's part of it, and we I finally the English schools, things like that. So I've done stuff at school, and then age, probably I think I was 28, 29 when Ian said we'll take this job. I kind of grew into coaching then, so it's developed as I've gone along. It wasn't something I ever really planned on going into. Whereas I think Ian, if you ask Ian the same question, I think it was always something he had in mind, and that's why I prefer the back seat and let Ian do all the kind of the major coaching roles, the depth research, because I'm more happy with the lads talking to them one-to-one, maybe giving them a bit of information as we go along rather than doing all the groundwork. But yeah, it was something kind of fell into when Ian said, do you want to get involved with it? I was between clubs at the time, in Penistone, local to us. So yeah, jumped to the chance and it's just developed from there, really.
Yeah.
Sorry, just saying it's a good point because I had more injuries than Dunk, so they always think about what else you want to do, and I love football, but I was also a very analytical player in that I used to analyse my own performance and others, even when I'm playing, and sometimes I think that can be a negative because sometimes the best players just play, whereas I was very analytical, analyse my own and others, so I had a big interest in it, and I always looked at that, and it's one of those, you do grow into it. Maybe if we hadn't had the success we had early on, we might not be still doing it now, but it sort of snowballs. You have success year on year on year on. You get better and better and better. You're a club that support you really well, and you just think, right, yeah. Before you know it, you're in your 12th season and you're enjoying what you do.
Yeah.
So me and Josh kind of talked about this before as well. So Duncan, we understand that you were like a player sort of coach at Penistone. So who was actually there first, or was it like Ian was there and was like, we need an assistant manager, I'll ask my brother, or was you there first and was like, we need a manager, I'll ask my brother? How did it all work?
I actually played for Penistone 4 or 5 games in, I can't even think it was, years and years ago. I was at, where was I? I'm trying to think. It was either between Frickley or Goole, and I was without a club. No, I was from Goole, without a club, and I played about 4 or 5 games for Penistone Church when they were in the county senior where we first took over. Ian was up at Stockford and knew the assistant manager at Frickley and said, "Oh, they're looking for a right back." So Ian put me in touch, and I went and played for Frickley. So if that hadn't have happened, I could have been a Penistone Church player, and this may have not happened. But I think Ian got the phone call and said, was offered the job by maybe Dave Hampshire and someone else, and he just said to me, because I was between clubs, I was living in Manchester, I was on pre-season training with Hyde United. And Ian just said, "Oh, we've got this opportunity. What do you think?" And so we went for a bit of an informal chat, if I remember correctly. Sounded good, sounded promising. The club wanted to go in the direction that we wanted to do. They wanted to take the club out of the county scene and go as high as they could. And I think that's why we jumped to the chance. I think Ian will be able to tell you a bit more detail about his memory might be better than mine. But yeah, I think that's how it kind of snowballed, like Ian said.
Yeah, pretty accurate, really. We were just finished up at Stocksbridge, and my knee had finally packed in. Really, I knew it was on borrowed time. But Duncan, I didn't like how the manager had treated Duncan a little bit, played him a lot, and then no explanation, leaving him out. And I just didn't like. He was traveling from Manchester, and I just made a decision that my knee wasn't right. I wasn't going back there, and sort of a crossroads. And then the club got in touch with me about that, and then we thought, yeah, we'll give it a go and see how we get on, and we enjoyed what we did. But I initially, the first season, we both tried to play, which was hard, but also my knee just did finally go, and I just made the decision, rather than rushing the operation, trying to get back. I'd had a good career. I wanted to focus on the management side, but I also wanted to do other sports, right? I sort of got into, to keep my fitness up, going to cycling, did a bit, obviously running, and wanted football to be focused on management. So, yeah, it just, like anything, it can go any way, can't it? If we'd have been enjoying it at Stocksbridge and loving it there, we'd have continued playing. And if I hadn't knackered my knee, I'd been still playing. But it just came up. We thought, let's give it a go, see how we get on, and we've been there ever since.
Yeah. So go on to this season now. So at the start of the season, what were your expectations?
Try and complete a season, I think.
Yeah. So yeah, the ambition was promotion as champions and go as far as we can in the FA Vars competition. The last 2 seasons, obviously, we finished runners up 2 seasons ago, and if it works around and won 18 games in a row, and we'd have won it. And if the season before 3 went up, and last season 3 were going to go up, so that season only 1 went up, we'd have gone up that year. So it was unfortunate. Last year we were in a really strong position to go up. Then they cancelled the season. We've done well in the FA Cup. We've done well. Got to the final of Sheffield and Hallamshire County Senior Cup. We've won the NCL Cup. So the one cup competition we haven't done as far as we'd like was the FA Vars. So that was its focus this year. We've gone as far as we ever have before. And then it was to go promotion, but ideally as champions. Unfortunately, there's about 8 other clubs who have got that same ambition and probably got more financial power than us. But we still want to get promoted. We'll have to, like Dunk says, we'll have to see if the season gets finished.
Yeah. Obviously, with the coronavirus and all that, how has Penistone really dealt with that problem with social distancing and things like that?
The club's been brilliant. Honestly, the club has a fantastic team of community volunteers and people who are skilled at what they do in their normal job and transfer that across, but also just we've had over 250, 300 watching every home game, and they've respected the social distancing. They've respected that last couple of games we had to close the clubhouse down. So yeah, I think the club has been a credit to community during this period. And during the first lockdown, the club probably came out of it stronger because of the fundraising ideas, the investment they put into the clubhouse, the beer garden, the outside bar and club shop, the football pitch. The pitch is the best it's ever been. So the club off the pitch is the strongest it's ever been. And it's always been us sort of saying, not dragging the club forward, but like driving the club forward. Now it's neck and neck. The club off the pitch is ready to get promoted. We feel we're ready on the pitch. It's just making it happen now.
Yeah. Just to reiterate what Ian said, I think that the committee and the volunteers we have are first class. First class, obviously, for Penistone Church, North East. You look at what we've got. We've got social media. We've got somebody running that. We've got match officials, things like that. And it's up there with probably 2 or 3 leagues above. And I know you two were there a few weeks ago. I can't remember what game it was. And yourself, the way the day ran time in this COVID period was exceptional. And I think, like Ian said, that is down to the number of volunteers who are doing it as a second job. A second job who work full time, yet still giving up every Saturday, every Wednesday during the week, working on the pitch, doing their utmost. And I think that's reflected, like Ian said, in the clubhouse, in the pitch, in the day-to-day running, in the match day, like you saw yourselves.
Yeah. So what was it like at the end of last season when obviously everything went into lockdown and the season got cancelled? How heartbreaking was that for you both? Obviously to know that Penistone were doing so well and then it just all got cancelled.
Yeah, it was disappointing. We were excited. Ian and I were really excited because, like I said, we were in a really strong position. We just maybe hit a bit of form at the right time as well. And we've got probably everybody fit again. And I think disappointed is the only way to describe it. Obviously, everybody's health comes first and there's bigger issues and bigger concerns at the moment. And there was back then even more so. But it was disappointing because I think, like Ian said, with 3 going up last season, we were in a very strong position and we had a really challenging but I think exciting run into the season.
Echo that. The at the time, I didn't think much about the league being expunged and it just being stopped. And then you saw other leagues doing points per game, but a lot of the teams in ours have not even played 2/3 of the game. So the decision was the right one. Just did, like Duncan says, disappointing because we had a really strong run in. We'd hit some form. The squad was as strong as ever, but ultimately it was taken out of our hands.
Yeah.
And of course, the level that Penistone are playing at, they're lucky enough to have fans on the ground. How much of a boost is that?
Yeah, brilliant, especially because of how supportive our community is. Before the first lockdown, we had the highest average attendances by about 60 fans, so we were averaging about 250, and then the next one's Bridlington Town on about 190. And then if you've seen our attendances so far, they've been between 250 and 300, and we've got the highest average again, and it's brilliant to see.
It is, I think, replicated when you see we have all ticket games and all the tickets are gone by probably Tuesday or Wednesday morning, 300 capacity, and I think it was Wednesday morning before the Liverpool match they were sold out and no more tickets. So it just shows that the community have bought into the club as it's grown. But to have 300 fans, which were all behind lads, was a massive boost for them. I think that does help. I know it's in the Premier League or in big stadiums, it does help. I think 300 fans as close to the pitch as they are, I think it is a massive boost for the players.
Yeah, definitely. So on to this season now. Obviously, you've managed to get 3 wins and 3 losses in the actual league in your first 6 games. How happy are you with the start to the season?
Not happy with the start. We'd obviously want 6 out of 6. You look at the games, as I said off air, that we've had a tough start, 2 long midweek away trips. But if you want to do well, you've got to get points out of those. And then we lost at home to Liverpool, and I'd say that was the one game where we were second best. they were the better team. The Mansfield one, we worked incredibly hard first half, 45 minutes 0-0. We're excellent first 15 and second half, went 1-0 up, and then so capitulated the last 30 and lost 4-1, which is unlike us. The most disappointing one was the Albion Sports away. Just poor start. I think more of attitude than ability. First 10 minutes, went 1-0 down. Got back 1-1 at the start of our second half. Just didn't get the second goal when we should have done, and then gave a soft penalty away and lost 2-1. So that was the biggest disappointment. Home games, Eckershill, good win. Grimsby, like I say, is probably his best win of the season. And then Boxford away, convincing win. So if we'd been sat here with 4 wins, 1 draw, 1 loss, I'd have been happy with that, with the fixture we had. But yeah, we that form won't get us top 3, so we know we've got to improve. But before we went to this second lockdown, we won 5-0 and 3-0. We've done very well in the FA Vars. We're confident in how good we are at home. It's now transferring that to away games and midweek games.
Yeah. Just on, like Ian said, the reflection of all the games accurate, and I think we've spoke about, Ian and I, that during those games we really did have 20 or 30 minutes or half or 60 minutes where we were excellent. We just struggled, or we have struggled this season, to put together 90 minutes. And I think Grimsby and potentially AFC Liverpool were 2 games where we've actually put 90 minutes together. We've managed a game, we've started well, took chances, and we've kind of put a performance together. And I think there was glimpses of that in those games that Ian's just described. It's just we couldn't sustain it for the full game, and that's why we've come up short. And I think I'll be disappointing we've had.
Yeah. What's the relationship between you two and the actual chairman of the club?
Yeah, really positive. So it's quite interesting because the chairman, he does fantastic things in the background. He's not a prominent chairman. He's called Scott Fairbank, and he sort of reluctantly accepted the role, but he brings ideas to the commercial side, the marketing side, the financial side. He also contributes financially to the football club, which again, he goes about quietly about what he contributes. The one we have the relation with is somebody called Dave Hampshire, who's our club secretary, and his nickname is Mr. Penistone. He's been there nearly 30 years, and he's seen the hard times. He's been there when the club nearly went extinct, and because the financial, so he's really happy with what's happening, but also he's understandably he doesn't want it all to go bust, so he has to manage that. But we wouldn't be still doing it if our relationship with him wasn't strong. It's not your conventional lose a couple of games and he's asking questions. It's a very supportive relationship.
Yeah, like I said, he's been there from the start when Ian and I started, Dave, and he's been supported, or nothing but supported, from day one. And like Ian said, he has literally seen the darkest days at Penistone, and he's worked tirelessly along with a few other core group who have dragged the club to where it is today. And we've just kind of supported on the field and done as much as we could off the field as well. So yeah, it's really, really positive relationship, and yeah, it's long may it continue.
Yeah. I think the last question really from me is, obviously you said against AFC Liverpool and Grimsby, you scored 8 goals the last 2 games before this new lockdown. Are you disappointed that you were picking up momentum before this new lockdown? So are you disappointed that you've had to just halt that? And do you think you'll be able to pick it up, obviously, when you go back into it, hopefully in December?
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, disappointed. Played his best form, 2 clean sheets, 8 goals. Confidence. We had a final training session before the lockdown, and the lads were full of good spirits. There's a really good atmosphere, a lot of positivity. What we've got to do, and I use it, we've got to control the controllables. It's out of our control, this lockdown. What we can do, I've said to the players, is they can control what fitness they do through this month. We can control what we work on in terms of when we come back. We've just got to make sure that we use this to our advantage. And I think we will. I think the lads will. I think they'll use it to their advantage. It's different to the other lockdown. It's a set period of time, whereas the other one, it was never ending. So and it felt like a first and extended holiday for people because the weather. This one, it's a month. The Prime Minister's adamant on that. So I think we'll come back and we'll use it to our advantage.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't have anything else to add. Josh, to you?
No, that's it from me, Gab.
Yeah. So as usual, I'd like to thank my co-host Josh Sykes.
Thank you for having me, Gab, and a massive thank you, Ian and Duncan, for coming on. Really appreciate it, guys.
Good to see you both.
Asking.
And you as well, yeah.
Take care, boys. Enjoy your trip to Gateshead.
Thank you.
We'll try. Hopefully it's not too cold. Yeah, and we'll see you all next week.
Cheers, fellas. Take care.
See you later. Bye-bye.
Bye.